Namaskar, and a very warm welcome to the 20th edition of World Education Summit, being organized by Elets Technomedia and its flagship magazine on education by the name of Digital Learning. I am Krishna Mishra from the government vertical of Elets Technomedia. This 3 days conference by Elets Technomedia by the name of World Education Summit. It is the 20th edition. It has got a very rich legacy of having organized 19 very successful events. Before the onset of COVID, the WS was organized in various nooks and corners of the country. Not only in the country, even we had conducted certain editions of WS abroad. After the onset of COVID, the entire rules of the game changed, and all the conferences have to go virtual. So it's my privilege and delight to welcome here an esteemed panel here, Professor Siddharth Jabade. Professor Siddharth Jabade is Vice Chancellor, Vishwakarma University, Pune. We are joined by Dr. R. Shridhar. Dr. R. Shridhar is Vice Chancellor, Kalinga University, Raipur. Raipur. Then we have Professor V.N. Rajasekharan Pillai, Vice Chancellor, Somaiya Vidyavihar University in Mumbai. From the industry, we have Philip Murray, Regional Vice President Asia, Blackboard, and Shefali Verma, Associate Director and Head of E-Governance, Chandigarh University. I can't see Shefali there on the screen, but she would be there in a short moment of time. So it's indeed a privilege and a delight to host such an esteemed panel here at this 20th edition of World Education Summit Higher Education. This conference is a deliberation by a platform by Elets Technomedia and DL Magazine to bring together some of the finest minds from the education ecosystem on a common platform to discuss what are the key trends in the education industry, what are the current challenges in the education industry, what are the gaps in the learning which is being faced by the different stakeholders, and also what are the opportunities in the sector. So as I told you, this conference was being held in physical mode for the nooks and corners of the country, plus abroad also. But because of the concept of COVID, we have to go virtual. So last 18 months after this COVID pandemic broke down, no sector of the economy, no sphere of the life was left untouched by this pandemic. All the sectors of the economy were closed, and education sector was not any exception. I remember in the past, in our earlier childhood days, the tenets of basic survivals were roti, kapda, or makan. But with passage of time, this roti, kapda, and makan were appended by education as well as health. So in today's date, for basic survival, basic human survival, and basic human development, 5 things are required. In addition to roti, kapda, and makan, the fourth and fifth is education and health. So like the other sectors of the economy, these sectors also took a hit, but the resilience of the human spirit, the innovations of the human enterprising mindset, that we are able to quickly reconcile ourselves when the pandemic broke down. Initially, there were hiccups, there were challenges. It was an unforeseen event which nobody of us could have foreseen. But after the initial hiccups, all of us reconciled, and the education sector also reconciled, and we came up with a new normal. So what was this new normal? What were the challenges did we face in coming and adapting to this new normal? And what innovative practices and ideas we inculcated, not only from ourselves, but also from across the country. To discuss this and much, much more, I am here with this panel, as I introduced in the beginning, Dr. Siddharth Jabade, Dr. R. Shridhar, Professor V.R. Rajasekharan, Philip Murray, and Shefali Verma from different universities of the country. So to begin with this panel discussion, COVID-19 pandemic, how has it change the Indian higher education system? I invite Dr. Professor Siddharth Jabade, Vice Chancellor, Vishwakarma University, Pune, for his opening remarks on this topic. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Mishra, and all my esteemed panelists, colleagues, and thanks for Elets for inviting me in this panel. And Mr. Mishra, very well established premise and setting the tone of this entire discussion. In terms of if we say how this COVID pandemic since last March, it has changed. There are a couple of aspects that we may like to visit in terms of, first I would say point number one is the entire mindset, because in a way COVID has accelerated future to present, because we have been discussing all about digitalization, industry 4.0, how education is part of industry 4.0, digitalization, so on and so forth. and also embracing the digital teaching learning pedagogy, all these aspects. However, COVID has forced us, and for that matter, entire world, to accept it, to respect it, and to adapt it within few days. Correct. So, to be precise, mid of last March, we had to be online, and I'm sure all the education sector, including Vishwakarma University in Pune, we adopted to the online teaching learning and the way of teaching learning. So, point number one, the way it has affected or this is about the change in the mindset of whom? Of the teachers, of the management, of the students, and also of the industries, because these are all important stakeholders in the education enterprise: teachers, students, parents, faculty, as well as industry. So that part. Second part is also the way it has changed is development of the educational technology. Like as Vishwakarma University Pune, we have developed our own platform called Vishwakarma Learning Online Platform. Also the assessment part that has to be completely using the technology. So I would say the second point is it is technology enhanced teaching learning. It used to be technology enabled because we have been using some part of technology, but it has brought us to rethink, reimagine about the technology enhanced teaching learning, wherein how one can use technology to enhance learning outcomes and output when the pandemic like COVID has hit us very hard. So that part of working on technology, not only as the teaching learning, but also as the value addition in terms of teaching learning, digital pedagogy, and about the evaluation part. Third component is this is about interaction with the external world, because in teaching learning as university, our stakeholders, companies, society, as companies for the training placement and all those, so they have also in a way adapted because uh, there are no physical interviews, but everything has become digital, so that the interaction with the external world by the students and by the faculty in terms of the placement, in terms of the research, in terms we have several transdisciplinary centers of excellence where we have been working on the projects with the industry with almost the same kind of intensity that used to be there, because companies have also adapted with this way of interaction and way of taking it further. And the last component that I wish to say, having said this, it is not all. We are since in this. What we are missing is also important, because when students are in the classroom, they are in that ecosystem of something called as a university. Then there is a considerable learning far beyond teaching learning as a face to face or this. There has to be peer to peer learning, peer to peer transfer of information, peer to peer transfer of knowledge, and peer to peer transfer of belief, which is also equally essential for the students to be in that cohort, which is, of course, missed out. Therefore, it is, of course, it's a great transformation because it has allowed us or forced us to rethink, reimagine. But these are the aspects that are there. And in nutshell, last part is we have to prepare for the new world order. That was the kind of world order in 1945 after two world wars that we changed the way we think. Similarly, it is said by all the pundits and all the public intellectuals, it is well accepted fact that this COVID has set a new world order where we have to start thinking about the new ways of teaching learning, new ways of operationalization, new ways of a new mindset by all the stakeholders. So that is well initiated, and all the universities must have responded. And I would like to state that we never stopped. The teaching learning always continued in all forms. It was not work from home, it is work coming to home of all the teachers. And we are very proud of all our teachers who have responded, adapted, as well as all students. And the teaching learning has continued throughout this. So there is no loss, not to that extent of loss of all this. So that's what I wish to state here. Thank you so much. Over to Mishra ji.
Thank you, Professor Siddharth Jabade. Very well put and very well composed initial remarks, the change of mindset, because we really were not prepared for such things will happen ever in the life. So adjusting to that mindset, then introducing new technologies, as you mentioned that your own university has developed some education technology. So introduce that technology, to get customized to that technology, training the teachers and faculty as well, and bridging the learning teaching gap. So all these were yes. It was a paradigm shift in the entire process of teaching and learning. So, as you rightly said, that education is an ongoing process, learning is an ongoing process. That there could be hiccups, but there is always a way around to navigate and maneuver around these hiccups. So, we'll come back to you. I have got some couple of questions for you, Professor Jabade. But before that, let me rope in Dr. Shridhar, Dr. R. Shridhar, Vice Chancellor of Kalinga University, Raipur, for his opening comments. Dr. Shridhar, unmute.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mishra, sir. And thank you all the dignitaries who are present here. Where to start and how to start. I have to go back to start from the 5 years before, 6 years before history of our university. It's, Raipur is the capital of Chhattisgarh, and basically Chhattisgarh is a tribal dominated state. Technology and these all things we are really far away. Barring Raipur, other parts of Chhattisgarh, there are rural areas, small villages, remote areas, very difficult to contact those people. And initially, when we are promoted our university, we promoted our university in three different fabrics. First, we promoted to the local population. But the local population is their paying capacity is not that much, because as I said, mostly are tribal dominated place. Then number two, we promoted the university especially to the other part of the India, other states. So we generate few students from the other part of the states also. The third dimension was the international scenario, and we are having students from Africa, Afghanistan, and Nepal, and this country, and Bangladesh. So like this country. Now we are working with three kinds of layer as far as students are concerned. Now, in the month of March, the last year, and we never thought of such disease is going to come, that is COVID-19. Really, at least for a week, we are shocked what to do, how to contact our students, how to start teaching, how to conduct examination. Because we are not prepared at all, and being a remote place like Chhattisgarh, then slowly we have started coming out of shell, and we started working on various platforms like Zoom, Google. We have started using those platforms, and we trained our teacher online only, and a teacher started conducting the lessons, regular classes. But again, the problem was to connect these three, poles, that is the state, India, and international. It was a big challenge for us. We had a lot of problem to connect these three poles. Then somehow we managed, and we started promoting the lessons, started promoting the classes on a regular basis. And another issue was, especially in local population, many people do not have internet facility. They do not have the proper smartphone and no computer. It was very difficult to attract these kind of population. But yes, we had, as I said, three fabrics of student, and around 5,000 plus. Somehow we managed, and giving assignments, and giving various kind of work. We worked very hard. Then we started promoting our courses through YouTube also. We started, our teachers were, started giving lessons. We loaded our lessons in video, and floated through this YouTube, and that helped us, in a great way. Then slowly, those students who are living at the remote places, they started the emergency of smartphone. They could realize, yes, I need the smartphone to connect with the university. Somehow they also managed to get the smartphone. So slowly, after say 2-3 months, with all the students, we started having the connections through online only, with the help of Zoom and with the help of Google and this YouTube. Then slowly we have developed our own network, and in that platform we have started promoting the courses. Then we have created one more platform that is known as Kalinga Plus. In that Kalinga Plus, it's a website. We have written various articles related to related to courses, related to engineering subjects, related to law subjects, all kind of. So by opening that website, the student can grab the new knowledge, modern knowledge about the various subjects. So this is one way we started helping the student. And we have conducted various placement program also through online, but as it's not very successful, but somehow compared to the nothing, we generated few jobs, especially online only. Yeah, it's a new experience. Now now we have to live with this kind of situation. We have to improve technology. We have to improve. We have to create the awareness among the student. As I said, we cannot compare the situation with Mumbai, Pune, or any other cities of India, because the state like backward state like Chhattisgarh, Bihar, or Jharkhand, things are different. Now it's really challenging for for every teacher, for every institution to promote these kind of techniques, and really it's a hard work. First of all, and second problem is, once suppose after a post COVID situation, there will be a challenge how to attract the student to again to a college, again to university, because they become habitual of being getting the education on their doorstep. Now, the second biggest problem is to attract the student right from the rural area to the university. It's another challenge we are going to face. Similarly, as in the movie industry is going on, things are going. Now theaters are open, multiplexes are functioning, but they are not getting the what to say the people to watch. Now the same similar situation to going to happen with the many universities in many part of the country, especially with those states where it's not much developed. How to attract these students again? So we have to work very hard on this parameter. We have to connect the this technology as well as the and moreover, this is my point of view. There is no substitute for Blackboard and chalk classes. There is no substitute. There is no personal touching. There is no personal interaction. There is no interpersonal interaction with the student. We don't know how student is alert or not in this new kind of situation. Yes, we have to try very hard once post-COVID is over, and we should not forget this is going to be continued. The technology, embedded teaching system is going to continue for long, along with the classroom teaching. So somehow we have to have bridge the gap between the classroom teaching and teaching with the technology. Yes, we should we should be prepared mentally and to attract this kind of student to work in this kind of atmosphere. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Shridhar. You rightly mentioned that although there could be some qualification to that comment, that there could not be any substitute to Blackboard and chalk model of teaching and learning. We have a representative from Blackboard organization here. He would like to further elaborate on that comment. I will invite him after 5 minutes or so.
Okay.
But yes, we fully understand the type of problems you just mentioned when the pandemic suddenly broke. What to do, how to do, where to go. Yeah, we all of us are clueless, and your university was no exception. But yes, it must have been more challenging because being a 5 to 6 years old institute, things must have been particularly difficult. But yes, hats off to you and your entire faculty there. You came out with some innovative solutions like Kalinga Plus. You also mentioned how you enroll more and more technology in your classroom teachings. Yes, going forward, this is going to stay there, if not 100% classroom, if not 100% online. The future of hybrid is going to be there. Most of the experts are also unanimous on that view. But yes, I would like to rope in Philip Murray also on that particular point. But before that, let me invite Professor V.N. Rajasekharan Pillai, Vice Chancellor of Somaiya Vidyavihar University in Mumbai, for his opening comments on this topic of COVID-19 pandemic and its impact on India's higher education system.
Thank you very much for organizing such an event. I have been participating in the several discussions right from the inception of Elets. I have been connected with the institution. Right from the day I was Vice Chancellor of Indira Gandhi National Open University and Chairman of the Distance Education Council in the country in 2006. I'm basically a science teacher who's turned administrator. We have seen since March 2020 real transformations in our teaching learning processes. We, in the country, of course, we are concentrating on Indian higher education. I saw that the Indian higher education definitely cannot stand apart, but Indian higher education is definitely, you have to think about in a contextualized way. In 2006 or till 2011, even now, there are maybe during the 3-4 months, it might have changed. There has not been a single online full degree program in the universities in India, not even one, a full online degree program recognized. Of course, now a few universities, very few in number, very few universities have been recognized to offer online degree program, online degree awards. Only very few, they have started also. But we are talking about thousands of colleges, several 10,000s of colleges, almost 1,000 universities, and a massive higher education system. Online degrees, particularly in management-related areas and all that, it was happening all over the world, but we were probably, I remember in Indira Gandhi National Open University, the largest university in India in terms of numbers. We started online. Of course, even then it was limited to certificate and diplomas, not even a full online. Today, we have witnessed maybe almost 2 academic years of students not coming to the campus, studying everything by online for 2 years. If a 1-year degree program was there, they might have completed it without coming to the campus. If a 2-year associate degree, some level programs were there, they might also have completed without coming to the campus. They might have learned several things. So the post-COVID situation in higher education, of course, we call it the new normal. So the new normal is definitely going to be the future normal in higher education. It is going to be the future normal in higher education. Use of technology. Use of technology, the extent of which varies, definitely. It varies from course to course, program to program. There is a feeling that with this online interventions, complete online interventions and all that, nothing is going to happen now. That was the feeling first. On July 27, last year, 2020, that was the day the national education policy was announced by the Prime Minister, implemented and announced by the Prime Minister. On that day, it was by chance, we have invited, our university had invited Dr. Kasturi Rangan. He came here because Dr. Kasturi Rangan, chairman of the National Education Policy, not to talk about national education policy or anything, but to talk about what is happening in science, what is it that going to happen in experimental sciences in the COVID, in this situation. We had the president of the Indian National Science Academy, Chandrima Shah. We had the chairman of the National Assessment and Accreditation Council, distinguished experimental scientist, Dr. Virendra Chauhan. We have the secretary of the Department of Science and Technology, Dr. Ramaswamy, and 2 or 3 others at panel discussion. Of course, we had doubts about, and of course, laboratories are not getting opened, as experimental instruments are getting probably difficulty in maintaining the instruments. Scientific research is going to be really affected. These were all some of the concerns. But then, after a few months, in March 2021 or around March 2021, the Nature and Science, Nature journal, then Science journal, they analyzed what has happened to scientific research during the COVID year. And in fact, the COVID year was the year of science. It was the year of science. Year of collaborations, extensive collaborations in science. People work day and night without even knowing where that other gentleman is sitting, other lady is sitting. They collaborated. They collaborated and brought results. We have seen the results. Whether it be vaccine, whether it be the medicines, whether it be preventive measures, lot of things have happened. We have seen the results, including the vaccines. All these things happened. Unimaginable collaboration happened in scientific research. And it could be true for other areas also, in maybe economics, maybe in other areas, in commerce, industry. It could be. So, therefore, we can say easily 50% in the hybrid education. Probably we have to just look at technology. We have to redefine our classrooms. We already have redefined our classroom. We have to redefine our classrooms. We have to redefine our pedagogy. We have to redefine our teachers, role of teachers. Because there has been a doubt always with technology and all that. It's not just now. Even when the ICT was introduced into education, there was a thinking that teachers are going to be replaced. Because teachers are going to be replaced. No, teachers cannot, technology cannot teach, only teachers can teach. And teachers are teaching through technology. And this has been happening. For example, even in our country, for example, right from we will not say it's online education, but the countrywide classrooms, old countrywide classrooms, the in the interventions of radio in agriculture, in the farmers, intervention of radio with the ordinary workers. All these things were happening. That was also technological intervention. We have created a separate several satellites for education. Professor
Pillai, I'll come back to you. If you could summarize your opening comments, then I'll come back to you, because we are now running behind the schedule.
My point is that technology is going to be contextualized. It is going to be technology intertwined. Hybrid education is going to be the new normal, and institutions are not going to be displaced. Institutions will have a different face. Teachers will have a different face, and we are ready for that change. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Pillai. I will indeed come back to you, because there were certain queries here as well. Yes, you are right when you mentioned that one of the most important fallout of the pandemic was the role of every stakeholder, whether it was a student or it was the teacher, faculty, administrators, industry, solution providers. All those stakeholders' role went a paradigm shift. You could have not been more correct. So here I would like to rope in an industry expert, Mr. Philip Murray. Philip Murray is Regional Vice President Asia of Blackboard, because all the speakers here from the academic side, whether it was Dr. Siddharth, Jabade, or Dr. Shridhar, or Professor Pillai, they all had one thing in common, that technology would be there, and technology, of course, will not replace the human form of teaching. One speaker mentioned that the Blackboard and the chalk can never ever be displaced. Yes, he's right. But how can we further enhance that experience? How can technology be roped in to complement those initiatives? And how can The two exist in close association with each other. Both technology and human intervention can complement each other, and result is to increase the efficiency and the efficacy of the learners, so that they are well prepared to take on the challenges of the future. So over to you, Mr. Philip Murray.
Krishna, thank you very much for the introduction. And it's certainly interesting coming later in a panel conversation, listening to the key points that my esteemed members of the committee are also discussing as well. But I thought we'd pick a couple of things out, which I thought have some real relevance and which cover all of us together. And really they're based around the speed of which transition occurred. I think when we look at it from an institution's perspective, how quickly did we have to change, or an institution have to change? They were changing in a matter of days, if not a few weeks, not months and years, which was the traditional way that an institution, a university, would change direction. Institutions have a lot of momentum. They have a lot of, it's very difficult to get them to change direction, particularly quickly. But one of the things we found was that if there's enough of an influence, if there is enough force applied by what we refer to as an external force fitment, then it forces the train or the ship to pick up and move and go off on a brand new direction. And that's what COVID allowed in many institutions to do, and do it extremely quickly. As I said, not in months or years, but in sometimes days and weeks. So there was that, the speed of change, and it was very much a paradigm shift. The second one we saw was, again, going back to an earlier speaker, again, Dr. Shridhar was discussing also about the community. Well, the community also was for educators as well. You know, what we've seen from the technology providers' perspective is that with open offerings like our Blackboard community, we have hundreds of thousands of teachers that participate, registered members of that. But we started to see them sharing a lot more information willingly. And I'm not talking about, you know, intellectual property. What we were finding was that people were sharing great ideas about something. You know, I'm trying to deliver a lab, or I'm trying to deliver a literature course, or I'm trying to deliver a drama class. How can I do this? So we were seeing a lot of this in the community, the educator community, coming together and sharing, willingly sharing. And the third part that we saw as well was how quickly, from the technology side, we could move. Now, for a lot of us, you know, those of us who have been in the technology sphere for some years, sometimes major shifts in our platforms and our capabilities can take quarters, a year, sometimes more than that, to actually manifest themselves. But from a technology vendor's perspective, I think we amazed ourselves, and as did many others as well, see how quickly we were able to pick up and completely change direction, going from having a small number of institutions that were using a particular niche product to having it deployed across thousands of universities for millions of students, literally in a matter of days. So those are some of the changes that we saw. So those are the three things that we found, both from the educator community, the speed of change for the institutions, and again, what we also saw from the rapid and paradigm shift for technology providers and how we've been able to keep up that cadence, that speed of enablement, that speed of enhancement. So, Krishna, those are my just opening comments.
Thank you, Mr. Philip Murray. We would like to hear from you more about how technology can further strengthen the Indian higher education ecosystem. But before that, our last speaker for the opening remarks, herein I invite Shefali Verma, Associate Director and Head of E-Governance in Chandigarh University. Shefali, quick comments of about 3-4 minutes on the topic.
Yeah, so good afternoon, everyone. So let me introduce myself. My name is Shefali Verma, and I'm representing Chandigarh University, whose name is inspired by the city beautiful, the Chandigarh, known as epitome of cultural heritage and urbanization. So I have been associated with this organization for the past 7 years, and I have been serving closely with the role of academic planning and monitoring, where the complete academic administration of the academics, along with the training and implementation of learning management system is managed. So COVID, of course, was a huge challenge for all of us, as all esteemed panelists have already said. An abrupt lockdown, but yet the semester is going on. Last back in March 2020. So we cannot let our students to drop their studies and to break their connections with us. So it was a period, I would say, a challenge turning into opportunity for us as Chandigarh University. So starting with, we have explored many open platforms like Zoom, Teams, but yet the student interaction, which Professor Shridhar has said, the close interaction of the students, the transformation of the thinking, the interaction was missing. So later on, after analyzing after very effective LMS, we have come across, of course, Blackboard. Another challenge which we have come across, the acquaintance of the new technological tool for our students and faculty, because LMS was not a regular affair, a regular feature in higher education institutes, but now we have to depend entirely upon that. So we have done, it's a proud moment for us, of course, we have done a rapid deployment of Blackboard in a record 2 months time, building a task force team, preparing manuals, walkthroughs, training capsules, imparting short training sessions, QA sessions for our students and faculty. If I talk about the faculty side, of course, taking online classes was not a easy affair for a teacher, because once you get into the class, you have to deliver the content. There is no time consumed for attendance part, for meeting the discipline as we did for the physical classroom. So of course, the content preparation, the effective delivery from the part of teacher was a big challenge which we have overcome. And yes, for the part of students, of course, students, they were in direct interaction with us, that students want the content to be taught to them, which is not available on YouTube or which is not available on internet on an easy click. So this was the biggest challenge for us. And of course, the practical classes, I would like to share more in this gradually in the course of this session. So with these challenges, I feel that we have overcome a lot for the past 1 year, overcoming the challenges of the online classes, the content development, the student satisfaction. But yes, we have achieved the student satisfaction to a largely extent. So a lot more to say, but I'll talk gradually about the on course of this session. So this is what I would like to share. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was Shefali Verma from Chandigarh University. Uh, Professor Dr. Siddharth Jabade. So what is the road ahead from here? If I talk of, because all these speakers mentioned about the technology, they also mentioned about technology enabler. In fact, Shefali mentioned one of the best practices, and this is one of the objective of conferences like this, that we try to know challenges of each other, best practices of each other, and inculcate those best practices into our own organizations. So what's the road ahead from here? Where do we go from here? Dr.
I would
Siddharth.
say, yeah, thank you. I would say the road ahead is, as the situation is unfolding. Of course, it's not going to be pandemic forever. It will be endemic also someday, somehow. And in next couple of months, the students will be on campus and we have to get back. So we see, I see road ahead with respect to couple of points. One is with respect to the technology, which we are discussing, and all the universities have well adapted this. So the road ahead is, how do we keep the momentum without losing the essence of university education, which is a brick and mortar, and as said, chalk and talk along with technology. So how do we appropriately use it to galvanize student outcome in terms of what value we do offer to students, correct? Because students are our customers, our companies are our customers, society is our customer. How do we create this value? It will be again an interesting part, and it depends on university to university where they are located and what is the vision of the university. That is one part. And every university may like to have their own strategy, correct? How do we embrace it? How do we? Point number two, the way road ahead is, this digitalization has opened up a new part. Of course, earlier it was there, but the information sharing this, so the data. And what we did is, I wish to say that we established our information management system, ISO 27001, because we are dealing with humongous data of the students of the teachers, of the content, and everybody is part of this digital galaxy, correct? In this entire pandemic and this. So, what are our ways of protecting our information, creating information management system, securing data, and those part, because that is also an essential part. Third component as the way forward is with the teachers. What we did is the first thing we started with the capacity development of our teachers, and we had best of the best ed tech teachers from Singapore who were employed, and then we had capacity development program for the teachers, how to use technologies and how to go ahead with the digital pedagogy, because now we are talking about millennials who are digital natives. Most of us are digital immigrants or digital migrants. Students are technology natives, you can say, correct? And with this, we started with this. We wish to continue this in Vishwakarma University, Pune, and then train this. Point number 4 is how do we want to adapt our curriculum as well as our structures in a manner to embrace this technology and not to forget how to go back to 2 years and say, oh, this was our original model, and then come out with this. Typically for the practicals, correct? Like mechanical engineering, like electrical engineering, these are practicals. So that it's a challenging task as we are going through the turbulence, and each university, each institute, and all of us together will have to find the best way forward in terms of how do we galvanize this. And the last point is most important. I would also request Elets, because we have been part of so many of these panel discussions, different panel. There needs to be panel discussion of the student representation, because what they feel, correct? Because they are the ones who are going to learn. So we have to understand. Again, as I said, what we did first in March, I still remember, 18th March, we were in lockdown, and I say in 1 week, we said, let us understand what is the situation with respect to students, to extend what is their bandwidth, where do they use, what devices they use, what is the best fit for them, and also psychological part. So we have to also understand the requirements of students, their expectations, and their change overall, so that all of us come out with this becomes a kind of a model for education in the this word is being used, new normal, or the transformative education system that we do. And the last component of all this is with the other last stakeholder who are the companies, industries, correct? And when we say industry, including Blackboard, because they are service providers, technology providers for this, as well as where our students are placed as the educational are accepted. What are their expectations? Because our entire world has gone through these 2 years, and they are going through this, and there is a transformation. Therefore, a market study of what are their expectations, what they would expect from these students, from the education sector, and also the government, because we are part of the triple helix. One is a government strand, other is education institution, third is industry, and always fourth is also called in quadruple helix as a society. So these are all in the strands of the helix, what they do, and then one has to work out. So in fact, we are creating our strategy plan for the next 3 years with respect to all those parts, so that this whatever are the learnings and will be the learnings will be well utilized to enhance the outcome of the education, to prepare students for life, for their livelihood, and value add to our society in terms of academics, in terms of research innovation, in terms of outreach. Thank you so much. Over to Mishra ji.
Professor Jabade, first of all, thank you. A very relevant suggestion you have given, that we should think of calling in a panel discussion wherein all student representatives or major institutions are invited. And yes, we should listen to them also. What is exactly which they want? What are their expectations? What are their difficulties? And what is their expectation from the university and also from the technology solution providers' point of view? So this is a very relevant suggestion. We have made a note of it, and I'll forward it to the concerned team. And very soon we'll be roping in student reps as well as representatives from the academia, plus the representatives from the industry. Here, I would like to bring in Mr. Philip Moray from Blackboard once again. Mr. Philip, what is the status of technology deployment, and how can we further strengthen this higher education ecosystem, not only in India, of course, in the world also, but because we are in India right now and all the stakeholders and audience here is hooked on from India. If you can comment more on this, what is being done and how should more be done to strengthen the Indian higher education ecosystem? Philip Murray.
Krishna, thank you for the question. I kind of look at this both from the perspective of having many clients in India who are grappling with these challenges every day, but we also look wider afield as well. We kind of have that opportunity for almost a helicopter view, or to get on the balcony and look down. There are probably 2 or 3 key elements that are happening. One, of course, is when we look and talk to a client or a provider, and we say, how have you gone through this process now? Many of them use this analogy of last year was like going to the hospital and needing to go to the emergency room, right? I needed technology to help me survive, to engage with my students, and I had a limited choice as to what I could get, so I better grab something. So we had that. And the next step that came along then was, well, now that we've kind of in the hospital, we're doing okay, we've stabilized. How are we going to incorporate some other elements of our institution's teaching methodology while I've stabilized on this platform of technology? And what we're seeing now is that the patient, I use that term with the greatest respect to everybody, the patient has survived. The patient has, in some cases, thrived. And they're coming out and they're saying, what is it going to look like now? Again, do I need technology anymore? Right? I needed it to stem the flow of the problem, which it did. We managed to maintain it for X number of months or years. Now they're having conversations around, how does it sit with my institution in the future? And that's a real challenge, not just for India, but right across the world. Will we see some institutions continue to utilize it completely? Absolutely. But I think we'll end up with this, going back to an earlier comment about a new normal, where we see this bell curve. We will see institutions that have all moved to one end of the spectrum. Technology was everything. We needed it all. But that tail will start to move back a little bit, where more and more face-to-face, more and more traditional processes will be brought back on board. And there will always be those institutions who will be happy to revert right back to where they were and stay there. But they'll be in the minority. We will have this new curve, which has kind of moved everybody to the right, if you would, where there is just more technology, but not necessarily replacing all the elements, and certainly not looking to replace the quality education that can be conducted face-to-face. So that's what we see, not just in India, but right across the world.
Well, that was Philip Murray, Regional Vice President, Asia, Blackboard. Shefali, what is the biggest learning from the pandemic for you? The biggest takeaway, you can say, or biggest learning? And how do we strengthen the Indian higher education ecosystem?
You see, Indian higher education system, if I say, it was relying, completely on the physical presence of the students, where the interaction, assessments, it was thought to be possible only in face-to-face environment. So you see, the COVID pandemic has given us this lesson in a very strong way, that the physical presence, the face-to-face learning is not at all required for the experiential learning, for giving satisfaction to the students. Moreover, the practical labs, which are meant to be conducted in physical mode only, right? It was possible in virtually environment also. So this pandemic has taught us, of course, that physical presence is not a bottleneck for students. And there are many virtual labs and classroom experience which are now capable of providing high engaging experience for our students. So MOOCs, if I say word MOOCs, so MOOCs was a very low-key affair before pandemic, but now UGC and AICTE has made this word as mandatory as a part of the scheme credits for every maximum programs. So the availability of massive open courseware, if I say, and its flexibility to choose the period of study and assessment for the students is one of the most major breakthroughs that we have encountered in this pandemic. So I would say everything is possible, of course. The things which we feel that it is it's under our comfort zone and we cannot, stretch our comfort zone to this level. So pandemic has taught us that everything is possible. The important thing is the right planning, and the execution of the things, especially in the academic ecosystem and in the benefit of the students as well as for the faculty. So this is what I would like to say. Thank you.
I think I would like to add till the time Mr. Mishra is back, because technology is not that innocent. We are at the mercy of technology.
Exactly.
Just so one part also it is just till the time is there, because teaching and learning is not per se, it is well integrated with research and innovation. And another part is when we get back, how do we foster our teaching learning integrated with research and innovation? Because technology per se cannot innovate, or technology per se cannot conduct research. We need minds, we need people, students, we need brains, and we need collaboration of all of them to work together to come out with research and innovation and solve projects. Because we have different transdisciplinary centers of excellence with whom we have industry on campus concept, where we work with on real life problems of the industry. And in the pandemic, it has been done through Zooms and all those. But then there is a lab work required, and our teachers and teaching is incomplete without element of research and innovation. And another part that we would like be more than happy and see how this technology can enable this collaboration in terms of research innovation, which is there. Because when we have been discussing technology as a platform for the delivery or creating notes or content sharing for the students, where research innovation problem solving may not be part of it. And how do we integrate it is also another part that with the technology providers, it will be interesting, because this COVID has democratized, education sector, right? So right now I can sit in Pune and very comfortably work with anybody sitting in Himachal Pradesh, because now that geographical distance is transcended because of the COVID. Yeah. Over to Mishraji till the time.
Yeah,
To
this is nice of you. Yes, yes.
keep the discussion on. Yeah.
That's so nice of you. In fact, these are some of the perils of technology, and I would wish solution providers like Philip Murray to think about something on this line also, that
I told
real-time
him
examination is going on.
I was telling him all the technology is not that innocent always.
Yes. So I was to continue the discussions also. We are just now overshot the time limit. We'll continue for next 5 minutes and we'll close it at 3:05. Dr. Shridhar, Professor Jabade was mentioning about creating value for all the stakeholders, whether it is the teaching community or these are the students or the government or the industry. Going forward, we have to think of ways wherein to enhance that value. And when we talk of value addition or enhancing the value for all the stakeholders, and particularly with the help of technology, as this is a common thing now that there is no substitute to technological adoption. You were mentioning, I was listening to you when you gave your opening comments that you are operating out of Raipur, Chhattisgarh, and the initial batch of students were mostly from tribal dominated areas. Then you went to other parts of the country, and finally you diversified your base into international market. So, what challenge do you face in integrating a diverse set of student base, whether tribal students or from within the country, outside the country, because everybody is not having equal access to technology? There is a India, there is a Bharat also. So how are you catering about giving or reaching out to the students which are from a disadvantaged section of society, or there are certain infra bottlenecks also, bandwidth issues are there, and issues of lack of connectivity or lack of proper speed or lack of devices are there. So how are you overcoming this challenge, Dr. Shridhar, and giving value to all the stakeholders? Dr. Shridhar, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Yeah. Initially, we had a lot many problems to connect with this varied group of students and varied group of even societies. and varied group of languages. And every part of teaching, we face a problem. But as I said, with the help of technology, Zoom, and so many things, so we could attract the student near to the smartphone or computer to study the lesson. At the same time, this is one thing is very sure: the pandemic is going to is not never going to last long. After some months or some year, is going to end because of the this kind of vaccination is going on globally, and because of this aggressive vaccination, this will be under control. But still, we have to sail in two boats. We had to sail in two boats. One boat is of technology, and another boat is of the classroom teaching. Now, the college, the university, a country which balance these two different aspects effectively, the university will be successful. Now, the question is how to balance. That's the important question. How to balance between the technology and the classroom teaching? Only through education. Only, as I said, especially in your question was there, how are you going to manage with the tribal population or backward or economically backward classes? Only thing is awareness. We have to work together as a teacher, as a university, as a college, and various teaching institutions to promote the kind of education that is technology-related education, especially to the rural mob. But still, while interacting with the parents of many students, they are not very much happy because for them, student is there in the home only, and all kind of student-related nuisances is happening. Student-related problem, they are still there in the home. Basically, what is our mindset is until unless student leaves the home and reach the college, that's the only education. This is what they say you managed. Especially if you ask the student, they say you are managed these 2 years. We are not satisfied with this kind of thing. Our kith and kin is sitting in the home only. So that's why now this is a big responsibility lying on shoulder of every college, university, and educational institution to promote the technology. Why technology is important to the masses? Otherwise, we cannot get the success. And one more thing I want to add here: if you see the national placement record since 2 years, I'm talking only about India. If you see the placement from various colleges, I have received various statistics. It's decreased by around 30% because of we are using the technology. So these especially the institute, the corporate institutes, corporate companies, not very much welcoming the online or technology, the way we are teaching, the online teaching. They want, especially about the science subjects, especially in pharmacy, in many of the engineering subjects, where we need lab, how to going to manage until unless student is there physically touching the object, is doing something. How we are going to cultivate that the practical knowledge among the students? If you ask my opinion, only thing we have to promote vigorously to the all the stakeholders like students, parents, industry, especially these three point. We should spread the the awareness. The technology is also equally useful as classroom teachings are there. So again, I am finally my the discussion ends here. My discussion that we should know how to balance between these two boats, technology and classroom teaching. Whomsoever doing very well will be successful. Thank you.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right, Dr. Shridhar. And in fact, this is what Professor Siddharth Jabade also mentioned in his very initial opening remarks, that mindset is important. I remember he opened his comments with the term mindset, and when he said mindset of students also, because if the facility is there, it's up to me how do I avail of that facility. So I have totally run out of time here. A quick closing comment of not more than 60 seconds from each one of you, starting from Philip Murray. 1 minute closing comment. The future of higher education from here.
I think we're going to end up with this model that we refer to as a high flex or a highly flexible deployment. And it won't be the same for every faculty. They will change depending on what's required. Some will be skewed more to one side, some will be skewed more to another deliverable. So I think we're going to end up with this. And this will be the new norm. This will be standard then. You will look in the curriculum and people will say, this course is delivered in a high flex mode. But that could mean anything really. really dependent on whether or not it's a very hands-on course or whether or not it's a more esoteric. But that's where we see really the fundamental change in how we see this going. Whereas rather than looking at the credit points for a student, people will look at it and say, oh, this is a high flex mode model.
Shefali Verma.
Yes, sir. So I feel that we should adopt and learn the best practices of innovation from all the best doers. And this trend of online education will not end, of course. And we look forward to have more best practices from the other best universities internationally acclaimed for giving best online education for our students.
Dr. Shridhar.
Yeah, one more thing. We are talking about the technology. One more thing is coming on our way. That is the NEP. That is the one of the revolutionary change. It's going to change entire our teaching pedagogy. So technology, along with NEP, we should be here to welcome and promote.
Finally, Professor Siddharth Jabade.
Yeah, so we see future as very encouraging, very brilliant, and we need to work towards achieving our national goals also. And how all of us as a higher education sector add to three parts. One is always, as said, academics, preparing students, future-ready students. Secondly, how do we add in the development of innovation capacity of our country? Because our other aspect of a university is transformative research and innovation. And third is how can we create value for the society and marginalized community by creating a part and an umbilical link for this is the technology, far beyond only teaching learning. And how do we integrate this and reach out to this as a part of our entire mandate of our own existence as the educational institute? Thank you.
Beautiful comments from each of you here, ladies and gentlemen. We had a very eminent panel and very distinguished speakers from various universities from India, as well as experts from the industry. I was joined by Dr. Siddharth Jabade, Vice Chancellor of Vishwakarma University, Pune, Dr. R. Shridhar, Vice Chancellor of Kalinga University in Raipur, Professor V. Rajasekharan Pillai was there here to leave for a meeting, Vice Chancellor of Somaiya Vidyavihar University in Mumbai. From the industry, we had Philip Murray, Regional Vice President, Asia Blackboard, and Shefali Verma, Associate Director and Head of E-Governance in Chandigarh University. Thank you so much once again, ladies and gentlemen. This was a very interesting topic. I just wish that we had another 15-20 minutes more, because this is a very important topic also concerning the future of our children and my own children. So thank you once again. And before we conclude this session, remember my words, this is the conclusion of the session, not the conference. This is a 3 days conference. This is being broadcast live on various social media platforms as well as a virtual 3D platform. The conference will continue today, tomorrow, and day after tomorrow as well. But before we conclude this session of the impact of pandemic on India's higher education ecosystem, my request to the team at the back end to kindly present this esteemed speakers with the certificates. This certificate is presented to Dr. Siddharth Jabade, Vice Chancellor of Vishwakarma University, Pune. Thank you, Dr. Siddharth Jabade.
Thank you.
We had then Dr. R. Shridhar, Vice Chancellor of Kalinga University in Raipur. Thank you, Dr. Shridhar, for taking out time and sharing your inputs here. We had Professor V. Rajasekharan Pillai, Vice Chancellor at Somaiya Vidyavihar University, Mumbai, who shared his perspective on this topic. Then we had Mr. Philip Murray, Regional Vice President, Asia, Blackboard. Thank you for giving that industry's perspective and how industry and academia can collaborate to create more value for the education society. And finally, Shefali Verma from Chandigarh University, Associate Director and Head of E-Governance. With this, thank you once again, all of you. Best wishes. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.